Hi, welcome to my demonstration lesson. My name is Acacia Lappin, and this is a lesson for 7th grade ELA. It is focusing on claim, evidence, and reasoning, and the title Is Batman a Superhero? I have my class set up here in Google Classroom, and I am also considering that I would be teaching from a digital teaching platform for this lesson. So I would start my class out with the question, what qualities must a superhero possess? They would answer that here on Google Classroom, just writing out their thoughts on what it takes for someone to be considered a superhero. Once they've done that and they've got all their thoughts down, I would put them to breakout rooms in pairs and have them share with a partner. So once they've had that time to activate their prior knowledge, get thinking about the topic and speaking about the topic, I would put the whole class into groups of 4 to 6, 6 groups total. When they're in their groups, they're going to decide one quality that they want to share with the class that a superhero must possess. They're going to put that quality on this Jamboard here through a Post-it note. Just add a Post-it note with the quality that they want to share with the class. No duplicates allowed. So once everyone has put a Post-it note on there with a characteristic, I would bring them back to the whole class and talk about what is on the board. Now, considering all of the qualities that they've come up with, I would pose the new question, is Batman a superhero? So thinking about these qualities, is Batman a superhero? And they would just answer that question, yes or no, here in a poll on Google Classroom. So now that they've thought about that and they've considered what they think, we would begin with our learning objectives for the day. So today we're going to be looking at claim, evidence, and reasoning. We're going to be looking at using evidence to support a claim and using logical reasoning to explain how that evidence supports a claim. Our learning objectives for today are: students will evaluate evidence to determine whether or not the evidence supports a claim. Students will use logical reasoning to connect a claim with the evidence provided. Students will determine the validity of a claim using evidence to support their reasoning. So now you would put students back into those groups, into those breakout rooms. 6 groups. Each group is going to have a piece of evidence. So there are 6 pieces of evidence that the groups are going to be assigned. 1 piece of evidence per group. They're going to look at or read aloud the evidence that they have and discuss it. And they're looking at the main point of the evidence here that we are utilizing, which, for example, evidence number 1 is superheroes must possess DNA or a genetic makeup differing from the average human being. So after they've reviewed their evidence and analyzed it, they're going to come back to the Jamboard. On the second page, they are going to take their evidence, which is here for them. Using the key above, they're going to decide if the evidence supports, strongly supports, contradicts, or has nothing to do with claim A and claim B. So they're going to draw 2 lines from their evidence, one towards claim A and one towards claim B. So they might decide, for example, for evidence number 1, that they are going to draw a blue line to claim B, Batman is not a superhero, because their evidence, they think, strongly supports that claim. They might also draw a yellow line to claim A because they think that their evidence contradicts the claim that Batman is a superhero. So after all of the groups have drawn their lines, the screen might look something like this. And now we're ready to bring our groups back into expert groups. So we're going to take 1 student from each of the previous groups and create groups of 6. So each group is going to have a student who has looked at each piece of evidence. So 6 students, they've looked at all of the evidence. they're going to create 3 evidence and reasoning statements. So they're going to choose the 3 most interesting or important pieces of evidence and create a statement around it. So evidence number 1 either strongly supports, contradicts, has nothing to do with claim A or B because, and this is where they're trying to come up with logical reasoning for why that evidence and how that evidence supports the claim or does not support the claim. And during this time, the teacher would go around and circulate through the breakout rooms and make sure that students are on track and that they are learning to use logic. After this is done, the teacher would bring the class back to whole class instruction again and have each group share one of their evidence and reasoning statements. They would also submit these statements through Google Classroom in this form here. After that's done, they are going to complete on their own the evidence and reasoning quiz. So now students are looking at, based on the evidence that they evaluated and their reasoning, which claim is correct. So are they very certain that Batman is a superhero, or are they very certain that Batman is not a superhero, based on the evidence and their reasoning? And here at the bottom, they're going to explain why they chose that answer. And this is the important part because you want to know if they're using evidence and reasoning or if they are using their opinion or feelings, which you are going to grade them on based on the logic and evidence and the rubric here.